Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Gilgamesh, a Spotify exclusive podcast powered by Globe. My name is Krisromer Idio.
And this is Camille Ferwelo. We're all children of literature here, and she is our Gilgamesh.
For this episode, we will be talking about Gilgamesh's heroism and its significance to literature.
But before that, I think we should have a quick recap of this epic, right, Chris? I'm sure we'd be delighted to hear it once again.
Well, here's a quick rundown of the events of the Epic of Gilgamesh. It starts off with Gilgamesh, a demigod, the not-so-great oppressive king of Uruk. His people prayed to the gods for him to meet the one who would kick him off his peg, and thus, Enkidu was born, a big hairy fella who lives among the animals. He then found out about Gilgamesh's erroneous ways and rushed to Uruk to fight him. Gilgamesh won, but they become best buddies. Gilgamesh announced his plans of slaying Humbaba, guardian of the cedar forest, and so they did. After that, Ishtar, the goddess of sexual love, offered Gilgamesh wealth and power, if he marries her, but she was sadly rejected and insulted. Ishtar was pissed. She sent the bull of heaven to kill Gilgamesh, but the Bessus killed it fast.
That's a tough situation to be in. And I think after that, that's when the gods were so disrespected, right? So they decided to kill Enkidu with a fatal disease. Gilgamesh mourned, but he was too paranoid that he would die too. So he seeked this immortal guy named Utnapishtim, and this guy told him about how he got his immortality, and then tested Gilgamesh to stay awake for a week in hopes that the gods would also grant him eternal life. Gilgamesh also tried to pursue a plan to stay young forever, but a snake snatched it from him. Long story short, he failed, and beware of snakes, really. That's the lesson.
And that's pretty much it. I gotta say, this story really never gets old.
I couldn't agree more. Now, we have our pretty moms here, Maybern and Sam. Could you help us a little bit in discussing the culture behind the epic?
Have you ever known who was the author of the poem Epic of Gilgamesh? Or is there an author or writer during that time? Well, the fact that around c. 2100 to 1200 BCE, this epic poem had been written. But do you have an idea now who is the author of this famous poem? None other than a Babylonian author and editor who called himself Sinleki Onini. I know his name is very hard to read and pronounce, but he is a scholar, priest, and poet working in Babylon around 1200 BCE. He is remembered for having compiled the best preserved version of the Epic of Gilgamesh, and aside from the fact that he cared for this poem so much, his name is listed in the text itself, that is written in cuneiform. Well, that is so really great. All his hardships are remembered. Oh, by the way, some of the information that I've been told is from sparknotes.com. You can check their site, guys, on Google for some really interesting facts about literature, if you really love literature.
I would love to read more about that, and I must check that website soon. Anyway, I've also read about that Epic of Gilgamesh, and it reflects its culture like some literary pieces do. Most of the characters in the epic were derived from the Sumerian religion and mythology. The text also demonstrated the Sumerians' perspective of women, that women were subordinates despite experiencing independence. And in our contemporary perspective about women's independence, were they really? Literature is thought-provoking. It allows us to raise questions and gives us a deeper understanding of issues and situations, said Judith Caesar, an English professor at the American University of Sharjah. The more the members of the society read, the more outlooks will be free from ignorance and preconceived notions about different people and cultures.
That's right. Well, that culture has a weird taste for heroes, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's try to look at Gilgamesh himself. Rachel and Rain, can you help us a bit?
Absolutely, Romer. I think by now, it's common knowledge that Gilgamesh is a really interesting hero. You see, in both the film and literature industry, there is always a specific characteristic for a protagonist to be hailed as a hero. A hero is selfless, honest, helpful, and most importantly, has a moral integrity. Well, Gilgamesh is somewhat the opposite of that. In fact, he is a bad guy, a bad king, and generally a bad person. You see, Gilgamesh has a pretty long way to go to be considered as your traditional hero. When Enkidu dies, it has left a big hole in Gilgamesh's heart. This has led Gilgamesh to fill his heart with yet another journey, but he failed. In the end, Gilgamesh is a hero not for his incredible strength, but because he has managed to bring honor to his name. He is a hero for he has come to terms with the reality that as a human, he has his limits.
You know what, guys? Rachelle is right with how Gilgamesh is described in the epic, and its story is considered to be significant to literature. Being able to change yourself by reflecting on what you have done before for the betterment of yourself. Plus, for me, Gilgamesh could be the symbol for change and second chances. Because as we tell this epic for the future generation, it will give them the hope to make the best out of themselves and give them the chance to set things straight in their life regarding in their past. Committing a mistake does not define your whole personality, but doing it continually will. Be like Gilgamesh. Claim your second chance and change yourself for the best, and be the hero in your own adventure story.
Ooh, that's one crazy ride, and there's still a lot to uncover, so don't miss out on the next. This is Camille.
And this is Krisromer. This is Gilgamesh, and see you in the next one.